Hello, church. God bless you. I hope you're doing all right. Last time I talked with you about Jesus and servant leadership. Today I want to share the very next verses with you in which he demonstrates this very kind of servanthood by helping a couple of guys that everyone else thought were worthless and beyond hope. This is in the end of Matthew chapter 20. As Jesus and his disciples were leaving Jericho, a large crowd followed him. 2 blind men were sitting by the roadside, and when they heard that Jesus was going by, they shouted, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us!" The crowd rebuked them and told them to be quiet, but they shouted all the louder, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us!" Jesus stopped and called them. "What do you want me to do for you?" he asked. "Lord," they answered, "we want our sight." Jesus had compassion on them and touched their eyes. Immediately they received their sight and followed him. Now, I was recently teaching from this very same passage when someone in the group asked, "Is this real? Does this sort of thing really happen? And if this could happen then, why doesn't it happen now?" I was able to share with him the story of a blind man that I knew personally named Ted. Now, Ted came to a church near my hometown where I served as the unofficial youth pastor. He had recently become blind in an accident in which he fell off of the roof of a house. He was in a program to learn to read Braille, but it would take time to learn, and he had no one to help him at home. He told me of his wife, Valerie, a devout Christian who had taken their children and left because of his wild lifestyle and gangs and drugs. They lived in a town down in Los Angeles, and he very rarely had any contact with them. And now, because of his accident, he would never get to see his children again. When Ted came to my church, I greeted him and we got chatting. He asked me to come to his place to read the Bible to him. I was a little bit intimidated because he was a pretty muscly guy with lots of tattoos, but he was blind, and it seemed like his experience had changed him. I saw him several times when I went to his house to read the Bible and talk and listen to him and pray with him, though he never saw me. Eventually, I left that town to go to a Bible college down in Los Angeles, so I said goodbye to my new friend Ted, and I didn't expect to see him again. In my second year of Bible college, I went to wait for Mandy outside of her spiritual gifts class one evening, and there on a bench outside of her class was a man who looked like Ted, but he was wearing thick glasses and looking closely at his cell phone. I thought, well, that's weird if it's Ted because Ted was blind. I said something to this man about the weather or something just to make small talk. And I asked also if he was waiting for someone. He said, "Yeah, my wife's inside the class." Then he stopped and he looked at me and said, "You know, I've never seen you before, but I recognize your voice. Do I know you from somewhere?" I told him my name and he lit up. "Jacob, is that you? Do you remember me?" he asked. Oh boy, did I remember him, but how is it that he could see? I asked him and he told me the story. Ted continued to straighten up his life after the accident, and so his wife reconnected with him. One night, a few weeks before, he was there waiting for his wife to get out of the spiritual gifts class. When the class heard that he was blind, the professor and all the classmates, including my wife Mandy, gathered around him to offer to pray for him, and nothing happened. But the next morning, when he woke up, he said he could see shadows, and then the following day he could see a little bit more. Now his sight continued to improve a little by little each day until he could see his children again. The greatest part of this story isn't the fact that Ted's eyes were healed, but that his spiritual eyes were opened. God healed his marriage and his relationship with his children. God used this horrible accident to bring Ted out of the sinful lifestyle that he'd fallen into and bring restoration to his soul, to his family, and eventually even to his body. The greatest miracle in this story isn't just his eyes, but the fact that God worked through a dark situation and brought healing and wholeness out of it. So I want to ask, are you far from God? If so, is it going to take a difficult situation to bring you close to him? Or can you manage to let go of whatever it is that has you captive and follow Jesus like Ted did and like the blind men in the story? Perhaps you're in a dark situation like my friend Ted was. Do you believe God can work through it? If you're in a hard situation like that, I want to encourage you to turn to God without delay. Place yourself in His hands. We can come to Him, broken, wounded, it doesn't matter. He can restore and repair what was damaged. Our relationships, our body, but most importantly, our souls. Now, this is my last video devotional for a while. If you've received any encouragement from the scriptures or the testimonies that I've shared with you, please join the cause by looking in the Bible, looking in your own life story for bits of encouragement from the Lord and share it with others. God bless you, church. I hope to see you again in person soon at church. Bye-bye.